you guys! It has officially been 1 year since I uploaded my first art video. And to celebrate my consistency and show how I've grown over the course of the year, today I'm redoing and updating my very first video. So let's jump right into it. Honestly, the thought of me posting on YouTube for a year is kind of crazy to me. I look back at some of the videos I've done and it doesn't seem that long ago when I made them, but I suppose that may be when you stick to a schedule like I've been doing, it just sort of, seems that way. So if you couldn't already tell, I'm doing the Meet the Artist tag, but I'm actually updating it for 2020. My first Meet the Artist video wasn't all that great. The artwork was fine for the time, since I was full-time at my job and sort of struggling to balance my work life with my artist life. Since then, I've stepped down to part-time and had a bigger focus on creating art and making videos for this channel. Another thing that really peeved me about my old video was how low the audio was, but in my defense, I was getting used to editing and finding a good balance with the sound. Since then, I've watched tons of tutorials on how to edit my sound and give me the best quality that I can get. I'll leave a link to my old Meet the Artist video at the end of this video, and hopefully you guys will be able to see how much I've grown. Real quick before I talk about the art, I just want to go over some of my accomplishments that I've made over the course of 2020. I know this year isn't quite over yet, and so there's still more time to grow and develop, but I would like to share what has happened so far with you guys. So when I first started uploading, I think I somehow had around 20 or so subscribers. Since I started making an effort to put my art out there and creating content, I have actually seen my subscriber count double, and now I'm happy to say that I'm pretty close to 50 subscribers. It's not a lot, but it's a start. I think in the grand scheme of things, I'm not really looking to be famous or have 1 million subscribers, but rather I want to gain a following and sort of grow a community and put my art out there, and hopefully it'll sell and let me be able to work less at my current retail job so I can work from home and, live comfortably. Another sort of milestone was basically laying down the foundations for some other projects, more specifically to start selling shirts with my artwork on them. I have talked about this before in other videos, but I am slowly dipping my toes into the world of passive income, just having a shop where you can buy my artwork on shirts, prints, mugs, and all sorts of things like that. Basically making that dream of working from home just a little bit closer. I will say it's still a work in progress, as I need to finish some of my original designs that I had, which you can see in my Redbubble video if you're interested. I'll leave a link in the iCard above. But once I get those done, I'll send them off and get some test prints, and I'll basically just go from there. Other projects that I have include developing my comic a little more, which if you guys have been around this channel for a little bit, you may or may not have heard me talk about it. I talk about it here and there, but it's still being developed and I'm still, trying to figure out the story and coming up with characters, with a few more characters, and I'm not really sure when I'll be able to make videos on that, but it is something that I do want to do eventually. Also, at the beginning of YouTube, I did dabble with the thought of doing commissions for others. Currently, I still owe one commission for a friend, and to be honest, it's taken a little longer than expected. I fear that maybe I'm not ready to do commissions quite yet. I might need a bit more practice, but it could also be just the perfectionist in me that wants everything to be exactly like how I see it in my head. If anything, maybe down the road I'll try my hand at doing commissions for other people, but I know it would be a good way to make some extra money and, get some practice in my art as well. And the final thing I've already mentioned, so I'll be brief, but I'm proud of the fact that I've been sticking to my upload schedule and consistently put content on YouTube. I will say there have been some weeks that have been pretty busy for me, and I honestly wasn't too sure if I was going to be able to make a video, but I would push through it and, like magic, somehow, some way, I would be able to put out a new video. Of course, I want to make sure that the videos I make are of quality and enjoyable to watch, which honestly I think I've managed to do so far, and I hope any of you guys who are watching will agree with me as well. So to talk a little bit about the artwork in the video, I did take some references of myself since I wanted to make the overall picture more interesting to look at rather than how it did last year. I do feel like the drawing doesn't quite look like me. It is pretty close, but there is something about it that feels kind of off. I do find it difficult to capture my own likeness. I'd rather much draw someone else than myself, if I'm honest. That being said, I am proud of how this turned out. I do think maybe I could have spent a little more time on the coloring, but that's something I'll work out in future artworks. I did slightly change the format of the tag too. Normally you would write your likes and dislikes, which I did in the previous version, but I felt like I was repeating myself with some of the things I wrote down, and I wanted this to stand out from the old one. So instead I wrote down some of my favorite songs and games that I've been playing. I also made a section with random facts about myself while keeping the normal information about me at the very top. So starting from the top, if you're new here and this is your first video of mine that you're watching, then hello and welcome. My name is Danny and I'm an artist here on YouTube, in case you couldn't guess. I'm 26 years old. I was born on May 10th, which makes me a Taurus if you're into the whole zodiac thing. I'm also a guy, and I am gay, because I'm probably going to get questions about that. I am pretty introverted, and I do enjoy being at home mostly. I like being alone and left to do my own thing, whether that's drawing or playing video games. But I can talk to others if I need to. I will eventually, though, need to sort of walk away and, give myself time to recharge. I think like most introverts, right? As an artist, I work traditionally or digitally. When it comes to making videos, though, working digitally is easier since I can just record directly from my computer. My drawing program of choice is Tool Sai. I still use the first version of Sai since I couldn't get the second version to work on my computer. I have thought about maybe upgrading to something like Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint, but honestly, I've used Photoshop before and that isn't a big deal. I just don't feel like paying a monthly subscription for that. And with Clip Studio Paint, I did try the free trial version and it was just pretty overwhelming and it didn't seem very intuitive to use, which is what I love about Sai. And I've just been using Sai for so long, for so many years. I just think Sai is so intuitive, clean, and it's easy to pick up for any skill level artist. I also use an XP Pen 13.3 tablet for drawing. It's a screen tablet that has been worth every penny and has forever changed the game when it comes to my digital workflow. XP Pen doesn't make this specific model anymore, but they do make the XP Pen 13.3 Pro, which I believe is essentially the same thing with just a few upgrades. When working traditionally, I sketch with a 6H pencil or a normal HB pencil. Then I go over it with a mechanical pencil for refined details. If I do make a mistake, which is bound to happen with me, I'll use my little click eraser to just get rid of it. It's the only eraser I really use. I do have a kneaded eraser, but I don't really use it as much anymore. When it comes to sketchbooks, I'm not very picky, but I do enjoy when the paper is a heavier weight. I typically go for mixed media sketchbooks because I find that they are a great in-between. If I just want to sketch with pencil, or if I want to take it a bit further and use mediums like watercolor or markers and not have them bleed through onto the next page, I feel like mixed media paper is really great for that. Speaking of markers, I do use Copics from time to time. I don't use them as often anymore, but if I'm wanting to color a sketch or a drawing, then they are my go-to marker. One item I did forget to put in the artwork was my microns. I use them to either outline sketches or sometimes I'll sketch with them since I enjoy how bold the lines can be. Another important tool for me is my phone. It's great if I'm out somewhere and I see something that sparks inspiration or just, interests me in general. It can also help to pull up references if I need them, but mostly I use it if I'm not by my computer to listen to music or to watch videos on YouTube while I draw. And 99% of the time I'm usually watching Funhouse videos since those guys can make me laugh. And lastly, just to carry all my crap around, I use my old high school backpack that has a little sushi plushie on it and a robot keychain. Nothing too fancy there. So when it comes to my favorites, I'll let you guys just read those since there isn't too much to say about them. If you do have time, maybe go listen to some of the songs that I mentioned. I will say that when it comes to my taste in music, I do find that most of the songs I tend to like are very melancholy. So depending on your mood, it can feel very upbeat with all the instruments playing and the words just sort of fade into the background. They're more of like a side thing. Or sometimes, if you're feeling low, then I think the words are really the thing that are really pronounced, and the instruments and beats sort of enforce that feeling. Either way, those songs are good no matter what, so I would go give them a listen if you have a chance. And just in case that wasn't enough information about me, now we are entering the bonus round where I talk about random facts about myself. Some are pretty basic, like the fact that I love coffee, can sleep for a stupid amount of time, and I prefer colder weather. But some more interesting ones are my love of cooking and learning how to cook. Normally when I'm eating, I always pull out my phone and watch Food Network videos on YouTube. I'll usually look up recipes of what I'm currently eating to see how other people make it and get ideas on how I can make it better next time. Or if it's something like fast food, I'll look up videos on how people would make that particular thing at home. So regardless, I'm learning about how to cook and learning different techniques and everything. I have been drawing since the 8th grade, but I did start taking art more seriously once I got out of high school. So it was kind of a little late. I was a little late in the game for being more serious about my art stuff, but I'm here now and I'm trying my best to get it to a point where I can hopefully rely on my art itself to support me. And the last random fact that I have is that I'm kind of obsessed with Big Lots and the Dollar Tree. I kind of mentioned this in one of my 2500 challenge videos. I think it was my latest one. Anyway, I'm going to talk about it again. So not only are they affordable, but you can definitely find some pretty awesome stuff at each store. I usually shop at the Dollar Tree for organizing containers, some household hardware like over-the-door hooks or maybe some command strips. And I will say they also have a pretty good selection of cooking utensils like whisks and spatulas, and they have all sorts of little gadgets and things that actually do hold up over time. So even though it is the Dollar Tree and you think things would be kind of cheaply made and break after a few uses, a lot of the stuff that I've bought I've had for a few years and it's still holding up. And of course, I think the main sort of appeal of the Dollar Tree is that everything is $1, so you basically can't beat that. I mean, it's very affordable. Now we're moving on to Big Lots, which is a whole nother beast. So Big Lots is a bit pricier, but they do have a bigger selection of like home goods stuff. Plus they sell furniture and mattresses at pretty decent prices. I haven't bought any furniture or mattresses yet. Maybe sometime in the future, but not right now. I mostly go there for food and sometimes get a few essential items if I just don't feel like going to Walmart. And because there is a Big Lots literally right next to my job, I always like going in and looking around, even if I've seen everything already, just in case they have anything new or any, sort of good deals going on. All I'm saying is that if Dollar Tree or Big Lots wants to sponsor me, I'm all for it. I almost have 50 subscribers, so I'm basically like Drawing with Waffles or Bailey J at this point. Not really, but I will say I'm pretty weirdly obsessed with those two stores, but I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, to talk more about the artwork, you may have noticed that I didn't record the sketching phase. Typically I don't, just because it can take me multiple tries to get it right, so I jumped into the line art process. Really, there isn't a ton to say about the line art. I feel like there isn't anything sort of special about how I do it. You will notice a huge jump from an uncolored picture to the picture having the flat colors, and I did this for two reasons. One, I wasn't really sure about some of my design elements and some of the choices that I had made, and I wanted a chance to see how things would look and change them if I needed to. And because I wasn't sure how long that was going to take, I just opted not to record it at all and just move on. And the second reason why was this video is kind of running a little late in terms of recording it and editing it, so it would just save me just a little more time in terms of editing. So sorry about the weird jump in between. But from there, it goes into the actual coloring process. I will say it took me about 2.5 hours, I believe, to do just the coloring and the rendering and all that stuff. And I do feel like I'm a bit rusty, so it may look a bit odd at the beginning. My process for coloring, it's honestly not all too complicated if you worked with programs like Sai before. Just basically each element has its own base layer with the flat color on it, and then I'll add new layers that are clipped to the base layer. I usually have one layer for softer shadows that I use the airbrush for, and another layer for more defined and hard edge shadows. And you'll see what I mean as the video plays, but it's really just a push and pull when it comes to coloring and the shadows and everything. Eventually, when you have all the elements shaded, the drawing will come to life and things will start to look better as you start working on each individual element. And that's about it, honestly. I think I've said and explained everything that I needed to. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys! Thank you so much for watching. I post new art videos every other Wednesday, so consider subscribing to the channel by clicking my logo on the screen or the subscribe button down below. If you'd like to further support this channel and me, you can buy me a Ko-fi in the link below, and anyone who donates gets a shout out at the end of my videos. Thanks guys!